It's official, dreams do come true. The Lions are FA Cup finalists for the first time in their history. This is the dramatic story of Millwall's road to Cardiff. A lot of water has passed along the Thames since Millwall first played their matches within shouting distance of the river. It's taken the club nearly 120 years to get there, but everyone at Millwall is making the most of their moment in the limelight. Their trip to the Millennium Stadium to play Manchester United, and their qualification for the UEFA Cup.
It's crazy. If you said to start of the year how far we'd have come this year, I don't think anyone would have believed it would have snapped your hand off to take a cup final and a European place for next year.
I don't think it's quite sunk in yet, but I'm sure that towards the time, towards the final, the build-up of it, I'm sure it'll finally sink in and we realise that we're actually playing in the FA Cup final.
Surprised, yes, we are surprised at where we are in an FA Cup final and just off the playoff situation, but I'm not surprised at how well they played because they do have the ability to play that well.
The draw for the third round in January was kind. A home tie against another team from the First Division. But it was Walsall who started the stronger at the Den, George Leitao making the most of David Livermore's error. Millwall a goal down with only 12 minutes played. But that goal galvanised the Lions. They hit back midway through the first half, Neil Harris providing Kevin Braniff with the chance to level. The young Irishman making no mistake. Dennis Wise was orchestrating things in midfield. Millwall's inspirational player-manager providing the cross. Tim Cahill climbing above Walsall's defence to give the Lions the lead. The second half was all one-way traffic. Cahill made himself another great chance. A combination of keeper James Walker and the woodwork keeping the Australian out. As a contest, the game was as good as over when Walsall's goal-scoring hero turned villain. Booked only minutes previously, Leitao saw red after scything down Dennis Wise right in front of referee Richard Beebe. Millwall looked increasingly likely to make their extra man count. Braniff again bringing out the best in James Walker. Neil Harris's shot somehow deflected wide with the goal at his mercy. Walsall's day was deteriorating, and in the dying minutes, Walker was sent off for raising an arm at Dennis Wise. In the end, the Lions comfortably through to round 4.
We're delighted with the draw, home tie against somebody lower than us in the league. It was a tough game. They battled. They came for a draw, trying to get us back to their place. They got an early goal, which I think sort of maybe got us going a little bit. I think in the end we won 2-1, but it was quite comfortable.
The one thing that this club does have is character, and throughout the side we've got immense character. And yeah, we always fancy ourselves playing at home. We were at home, and we won the game. And in the finish, that was all it was about.
Much of the credit for the turnaround in fortunes at the Den must be due to Millwall's new managerial team. Initially reluctant to take the hot seat after the departure of Mark McGee, Dennis Wise brought in Ray Wilkins. Their partnership has brought a new sense of belief to the players.
Everybody's got a will to win, and we're all working hard for each other. And I think Dennis and Ray have instilled that in us.
They're a good partnership. Ray's obviously got a lot of experience. 84 caps for England. Done a lot in his time. Played for Manchester United. Played for AC Milan, Rangers. Along with Dennis, they've been a very, very good partnership for us.
A tricky trip to Telford United of the conference presented a possible upset in round 4. Would Millwall hold their nerve? Commentary from Jim Proudfoot.
Paul Eiffel has done well. It's not a bad ball in, but Neil Harris couldn't quite get the touch to deflect it past McKenzie. Dickio, now Timmy Cahill. They're always looking as though they've got time and space in the midfield, but can they make the most of that? Paul Eiffel now. That's a good strike by Eiffel, and it's helped in, possibly by Stuart Whitehead, but Millwall have the lead. And for those fans that made the long journey up to Shropshire only for the game to be called off, now finally the game is on and they are in the lead. Harris. Cahill turning away from Fitzroy Simpson. Lovely pass for Eiffel. Now Kevin Muscat. And Dickio's a lovely ball through to him, but Danny Dickio couldn't find the finish. Howarth backed off. Dickio unable to hit the target and give Millwall a little bit of breathing space before half-time. Harris has got options either side of him. He goes to his right for Cahill. Eiffel steaming forward. Here is Paul Eiffel. The best first touch. Gets it back across. Wise. And still Dennis Wise. Good block eventually. Telford able to clear their lines. Here's Rowe. Ryan making life difficult for him. Eventually concedes the free kick. Cahill. Now Braniff. And Wise with space. Can he capitalise on it? Yes, he can! And that's surely the goal that fires Millwall through to round 5 of the FA Cup. Lovely strike by Dennis Wise. Even at the age of 37, still the enthusiasm for the game unbridled, delight on his face, and victory for Millwall now.
Telford was probably one of the hardest games ever. It was probably harder than Sunderland, because it was definitely the potential banana skin where anything could have happened.
Dennis just wanted us to be professional. Just said if we're professional tonight, we're going to win the game. That's what we've done. We got a lucky break with Ife's goal, took us a deflection to go in, but that's what you need when you have a cut run. You need lucky breaks. We got that, and Dennis scored at the end to make it safe for us. But the banana skin wasn't really likely to happen once we got going on the night. We were prepared for the game and ready for it.
Another good draw saw Millwall at home again in round 5. Again against First Division opposition, Burnley. Before the match, striker Danny Dickio had been signed from West Bromwich Albion. A gamble by chairman Theo Pafitis that was paying dividends.
And so the 5th round of the FA Cup starts with both Millwall and Burnley knowing that this is a golden chance for them to get through to the quarter-finals. The draw has been kind to them. Both sets of supporters are confident. Those Millwall fans there obviously hoping that it is the capital that's represented in the last 8 of the competition. What will today hold? Chapello couldn't get it away. Great strike by Eiffel. And the save, every bit as good from Brian Jensen. And that acknowledged by Dickio. What a good stop it was. Darren Ward amongst those forward for Millwall. Lawrence at the near post. Dickio and Cahill that little bit deeper. Jensen hasn't got it away effectively. Lawrence's header goes over the bar. Perhaps he should have made the better attempt at the opportunity. Just wonder if it had come to someone like Harris in that position, whether it would have gone in. It seemed as though Harris had pushed Jensen and Lawrence couldn't turn the header goal bound. Stan Turner knows his side have been pretty much second best so far, but can Millwall capitalise on that? Ryan. Harris, Livermore, now Cahill. Away from Glenn Little very easily. Leaves Roach sprawling. Little came back and caught his man. Foul by Glenn Little. Lee Roach, the former Manchester United player, had no answer to Cahill's wizardry. Cahill takes his place in the centre. And will the delivery be good enough from Dennis Wise? Plenty of targets for him. Oh, it hit Harris. Ricochets behind for a corner. probably should have been more. Was a good delivery from Wise. I think Harris was really expecting it, ricocheted off him. Away for a corner. Taken short by Wise for Eiffel. Now Livermore. Good pressure by Chaplow. Here's Muscat. Dicchio. Lawrence in support for him, but he's lost out. Clearance by Wood. There's a good long ball forward as well. And Ryan has made a mistake. Here's Moore. Good save by Willie Guerrick. Chances have been few and far between for Burnley. That was one they should have taken. Now Harris. Millwall definitely having the better opportunities over the lion's share of this first half. Brian Jensen knew that he was beaten. Thankfully, as far as Burnley were concerned, the ball just dipped over the bar. Who'd have thought when Neil Harris arrived from Cambridge City that he would have such a significant impact on this part of Millwall's history. Into stoppage time at the end of the first half that Millwall have dominated, and Cahill! And Jensen makes the save, and there have been times when he's been the only man between Millwall and a comfortable first half lead, despite the fact that they've had the possession and the territorial advantage. They haven't been able to breach Jensen's goal, and the two sides, I'm sure, will go into half-time goalless. Dicchio. Control for a big man. Harris. Eiffel. Away from Kamara. Oh, he's done brilliantly. Paul Eiffel! What a goal that would have been! And he was only an inch and a half or so away from making it 1-0 to Millwall. The turn so good it took Kamara and McGregor out of the picture. Jensen beaten by the shot. Millwall so unlucky. Chasing the long ball forward. And Lawrence's header well kept in by Dicchio. It's David Livermore. Eludes Cahill, finds Eiffel the danger man again. McGregor threw himself in. Muscat with a cross. Dicchio! Finally Millwall are rewarded. Danny Dicchio with the goal that pays back probably in one fell swoop his entire transfer fee from West Bromwich Albion. Lovely weighted cross from Muscat. Dicchio running onto it, got in behind David May to power his header past Jensen and give Millwall the lead with only 20 minutes to go. Just 20 minutes separating them from a place in the FA Cup quarter-finals. The defending wasn't great, but a typical centre-forwards goal. Weller. Paul Weller. It's taken 2 or 3 to stop him. And Dennis Wise, he didn't like Wise's challenge on him, and the push is going to put Weller in trouble. And Millwall now a goal up and a man up with Weller sent off. Burnley down to 10 men. Weller furious. Wise just he left his foot in there on Weller. Weller didn't like the intent. Pushed Wise to the ground. By the letter of the law, he had to go. Burnley down to 10 men for the remaining quarter of an hour or so. And the referee unsighted as Dennis Wise put his foot in not once but twice, but he didn't make any contact. Weller deservedly sent off for his retaliation. Cahill. It's a good ball for Braniff. Just couldn't get hold of it, Kevin Braniff. Crossing has been exemplary from either flank, particularly from this right-hand side. Braniff unable to do it justice on that occasion. Wood's ball finds Sweeney. What can the youngster do? He's running with real intent at McGregor. And again, Brian Jensen thwarts Millwall. With confidence oozing out of Peter Sweeney. Beat McGregor easily. No way past the goalkeeper. Eiffel makes a belated run towards the near post. Was Jensen pushed? The referee said he was by Braniff, but the free kick taken too quickly. And Brian Jensen's known as the Beast. It's certainly been a beast of an afternoon for Burnley despite him. Certainly Millwall, who've had the better of this, they deserve the advantage they've got. They look like adding to it rather than conceding that lead at the moment. Here's Eiffel. Braniff. And another wonderful save by Jensen. So much space for the Millwall forwards. They had time to bring it down. Braniff, good shot, good save. Wood. Now Moore. Little. Well, he did spoon it, Glenn Little, but it's as close as Burnley have come to an equaliser. Ball laid back by Ian Moore. Little, who's probably one of the players you'd want on the end of that opportunity. Firing it over the bar. Chaplin. Little. 5 to Ayman in the centre. He's done well to get it across. Ian Moore, Alan Moore! Just didn't make any contact at all. Had he done so, it surely would have been 1-1. The Irishman making his run, the perfect time, completely missing it. Almost inexplicable miss really by the former Middlesbrough winger. Millwall now surely have done enough.
What a difference Theo Paphitis has made to the club. Taking over as chairman in 1997, he's turned Millwall around. Courting some controversy along the way, he's never been frightened of making the tough decisions. His gamble on Dicchio characteristically demonstrated his belief that Millwall can go all the way.
We've lost one game since I've been down here, and that's all credit to the boys because they've showed great determination and confidence in themselves. And I think when you're winning games and you go on them kind of runs, it breeds confidence in the team.
I think financially it was a massive move for Theo to do that. He will eventually, if we were to get into the Premier League, cost Theo something like £6,500,000, which for Millwall is a massive amount of money. Thankfully we've had the cup run, and I think Danny's been paid for, so out of a good cup run has come something very positive.
Millwall hadn't reached the 6th round since 1986. They now had a golden chance of reaching the semis as they prepared to meet 2nd Division Tranmere again at home. The new den was packed and expecting more success. Your commentator is Peter Brackley.
Let's take a check on the teams. And Dennis Wise has selected himself in today for Millwall. Danny Dicchio is another central figure in their starting 11, signed recently from West Bromwich Albion after an initial loan spell. He chipped in with 6 goals in just 8 outings, and he'll be teaming up in attack with Neil Harris. Well, here's the Tranmere side, revealed by Brian Little. His major concern this week in the build-up has been the fitness or otherwise of goalkeeper John Achterberg. The Dutchman, he was injured in the warm-up for the game with Swindon in midweek. He was withdrawn, but is now fit enough to return ahead of Russell Howarth. Frontman Ife Onura is cup-tied, having already played for Grimsby. So there's a starting role for the match-winning hero of the last round against Swansea, Canadian international Ian Hume, who at just 16 had become the club's youngest ever player. There may have been initial disappointment for both clubs at missing out on a really plump 6th round tie, but hey, look on the bright side. It is a glorious chance to earn a semi-final spot in the world's most famous cup competition. Millwall in the blue strip, blue and white, Tranmere in all yellow. Two of the country's less fashionable clubs with a chance of achieving some real glory now. Will it be Millwall in the last 4 for the first time since 1937? Or will it be third time lucky for Tranmere after those quarter-final failures at the start of the new decade? Here's Lawrence with a free kick for Millwall. It's off Mickey Mellon, one of the experienced players in this Tranmere side, slotting into midfield. Now Ryan, who's become very much a fixture in the back line for the Lions. That was Darren Ward. Then Livermore. Cahill losing out, the Australian. And it will be a free kick to Tranmere for the offence by Cahill. He's been a real influence in midfield again this season. But that was the darker side of his game. He does lack a bit of discipline sometimes. Keogh. Again underlining his aerial prowess. Now, was that a trip by Goodison on Cahill? I think that is the case. Referee Neil Barry awarding the free kick in a precarious position here. It was a bit of a loose challenge from Goodison, a reckless one really, after Cahill had clashed with Connolly. Here is Dennis Wise, beaten away by Achterberg. Smart piece of goalkeeping then to defy the player manager of Millwall. Thirsting for more cup glory. Ifill. Another teasing ball in. Achterberg decides to come for it, and it proved to be the right decision too. Livermore. Now then to Ryan. Here's De Keogh. He got the winner in the last round against Burnley, which has helped to pay off a large slice of his fee. They took a gamble really in signing him at this stage. Dennis Wise and the Millwall board. They could have had him on a free a bit later on, but they thought, well, it's worth having him now. This was a free kick from Wise, and the gamble paid off with De Keogh. All credit there to Achterberg, showing no ill effects at the moment from his injury at midweek. Not always been first choice at Tranmere during his time there. It seems to be these days. Wise the orchestrator in midfield for Millwall. Another well-weighted pass. Cahill's onto it. Now will he get away from Goodison here? Still Cahill. Pull back for Ifill! It was their most fluent and flowing move so far, and it very nearly produced the opening goal. Wise had sent Cahill on his way. He's shown really good persistence here. A clever little pullback for Ifill, and Tranmere relieved to get bodies in the way. Wise himself will take this corner. De Keogh to aim for, and Ward, who's up from the back. And there's Cahill, and then by Darren Ward. And Tranmere happy just to clear anywhere at the moment. Duddy back in defensive mode. Millwall looking to turn on some heat now. Ifill, very much a danger man for Millwall. Cahill, again coasting in far post. Beginning now to get their game together. And it's been quite tough going in the last few minutes for Tranmere. This is Ifill. And Cahill in that threatening position, a menacing position on the far post. Now De Keogh almost got in then. Again, some tidy defensive play from Connolly. Matt Lawrence. This is Muscat. Cahill has sneaked into the middle. That was an important intervention then by Ian Goodison. Up comes Livermore! A decent strike as well. It's a searing drive by Livermore, player who began his career with Arsenal without making the grade there. Mickey Mellon. Just too strong for Beresford. Now it's Darren Ward. Goodison getting the better of Cahill, but then it's Muscat. Goodison out of position. It's Gary Jones back there covering for him. Good job he was there too, from Tranmere's perspective. Not quite sure why Goodison was so far upfield. Here's Wise. Harris. And Muscat has to settle for the corner. Millwall certainly not settling for this scoreline, with 10 minutes of the first half to go. Striving hard for a breakthrough now. Ward and Lawrence are both up, along with, of course, Dicchio in there. And Cahill is useful in the air too. Achterberg just got his fist to it, but now it's Ifill, and the keeper had to go scurrying back. And there's a bit of a kerfuffle going on back there, Achterberg and his defenders, as to who was to blame for all that. It's another corner. Dicchio can't get to it, but oh, Cahill certainly could, and it was a flying save by John Achterberg to deny him the first goal of this game. That's a wonderful stop. Really climbed so well there and tracked that header, Cahill. Here's Hume. Now Ward. That was Taylor with a foot in. And then Ward with a clearance. Tranmere, who themselves have a real taste for cup football and for cup finals too. They've got to 5 Wembley finals in the past in various competitions. Ryan Taylor. Confronted by Livermore at the expense of a throw. Here's Taylor again. Then Connolly. It came off Ward and it's fallen here for Roberts. Beaten away by Marshall. A real moment of promise then for Tranmere. Wise to Ifill. Now Cahill. Dicchio, is he offside? I think the flag stayed down. Up came that back line. No response though from the official on this near side. Roberts racing away to his left. Dardy in the middle. Now it's Livermore. Rather tentative back pass though to Ryan. And there was certainly a jittery moment back there for Millwall moments ago when Roberts had that strike. Somewhat theatrical response then by Cahill. Well, he hit it very cleanly then. Marshall getting a strong fist on it though. Played by Goodison, not very effectively though. Dicchio trying to make his presence felt now. He's done well too. He's found Ifill. Bearing down on goal. Just squeezed past that post. Really positive run then by Ifill. He is a danger man in this Millwall team. Excellent play before that from De Gea, and he couldn't quite find the target then, Ifill. Tranmere continuing to hold Millwall, and certainly threatening to score themselves in this second half as we near the three-quarter mark. Beresford, Roberts again joining in the attack. Humes in the middle. That was just palmed away then by Marshall. It was an awkward bounce for him. Again, some adventurous attacking play from Tranmere, and in particular from Gareth Roberts. Not sure he was going for goal then, or looking for Hume, but either way, it caused some concern back there for Millwall. Another Tranmere corner. Hume with a header, but it's well wide of goal. Created history when he became the club's youngest ever player, beating the previous record held by a Tranmere legend, indeed an English football legend, Dixie Dean. Dennis Wise, ever encouraging, ever cajoling those around him. Well, it was a free header in the end for Cahill. I was looking for an offside flag, so was Achterberg. The flag stayed down. Just as it was played in there, I thought he was offside. But in the end, he got beyond the last defender. And it was as good as a free header, unchallenged really. Tim Cahill knows what a good chance that was, that he has spurned. Beresford. Lawrence was the last defender. Gary Jones has just arrived in the middle. He can be very effective in the air. Keeper stayed on his line. Here's Braniff with that acrobatic clearance, but it's straight to Connolly. Now Roberts. Sort that one out as the invitation. Beresford, and it whistled through. It took a deflection. It's another corner. Just to underline, they are very much in this cup tie. Such a spirited showing here from second division Tranmere against their Division 1 rivals. That was Goodison. Millwall struggling to clear, but now they can, and the break is on here. Tim Cahill. Dennis Wise. And he's furious with himself that he did not make more of that. Certainly hasn't lost that competitive edge, has he? That was Mellon with a challenge on Livermore. De Gea on his way back to avoid being offside. Jones smuggling it away. Now it's Wise again, directing operations from the centre of midfield. Up steps Lawrence. Little spin by Braniff. Trying to shake off Gary Jones. Not a back cross. Was that a push? It is a penalty. A shove on Tim Cahill. It was Taylor. Well, he was clearly ruffled then by the presence of Cahill lurking around him. Cahill, who can't be so menacing in the air. I'm not sure he really saw him though. Down went Cahill. There was contact. And referee Neil Barry has pointed to the penalty spot. Well, indignation, frustration and fury for young Taylor. I think he felt that Cahill went to ground too easily. What a chance here then for Millwall. Can they finally break through with 15 minutes to go? Kevin Muscat. The captain has the responsibility of taking this. And no one more relieved than Ryan Taylor, who is the first to congratulate him. It wasn't the best of kicks, you would have to say, but a fine stop again from the goalkeeper. Not for the first time in this match, and he's there again. Tranmere really digging in now. Oh, such relief for Ryan Taylor. And they have a hero, Tranmere, today in Achterberg. Wise floating it over. It's another corner. Tikio, who was disputing that cross. Well, Tranmere were aggrieved at the penalty award. They will feel justice was done. Cahill. But he's the man of the moment. Here's the penalty save again. Just the right height for him in the centre of the goal. I'm afraid you have to put that down as a very poor kick from the Australian Muscat, and he knows it too. All credit to Achterberg for the save. But all the same, Muscat will be none too happy with his placement there. Livermore's header. Attempted a clearance by Goodison. Shouldn't go too far. Then it was Sweeney towards Braniff, but Connolly in the way. Goodison again. Anywhere will do now. Unless Tranmere can raise something here in the dying seconds. Two minutes are up. Livermore. Then to Wise. The hall is industry, it would seem. Millwall are going to have to settle for a replay. They are. And have Tranmere earned this. As Brian Little there shakes the hand of Ray Wilkins. It's been a tough old battle today. But in the end, the penalty missed by Kevin Muscat, well, the save from Achterberg, means that Tranmere have held on, and they might have sneaked a goal themselves too from the chances that came their way. But it's not to be. Tranmere have held Millwall in this FA Cup quarter-final at the New Den to a goalless draw.
Had Millwall missed their chance? Frustrated at the Den, the Lions now faced a tough examination in Birkenhead. Tranmere have a proud cup tradition. Some big names have come to grief at Prenton Park. This was not going to be easy. Commentary on the sixth round replay comes from Paul Dempsey.
Keeper John Achterberg was undoubtedly the hero at the New Den, saving a penalty from Kevin Muscat to earn the replay here for Tranmere, and he continues to take pain-killing injections on a thigh injury, but he's fit to start once more. Sean Connolly and Ian Goodison are also fit and ready to return. They missed Tranmere's home defeat by Chesterfield at the weekend, but Tranmere no doubt strengthened defensively with that after they conceded 3 in that league game. Well, Millwall's player boss Dennis Wise is again restricted to a management role because of a knee injury. Keeper Andy Marshall is on loan from Ipswich, but not cut-tied here, and he's been a big success in his spell at Millwall so far. Darren Ward has passed a fitness test, so it's a back four for Millwall, becoming a settled unit. Millwall will get us underway from right to left. They have the higher status, pressing for promotion to the Premier League. Only 3 defeats in League and Cup since the end of November. But they missed an opportunity to go through it the first time of asking. Now they've got to do it the hard way. We could be in for one of those special FA Cup occasions. Well, the big guns await in one semi-final. Sunderland already there in the other one, and it's the fact that Sunderland of Division 1 and either Millwall of Division 1 or Tranmere of Division 2 who could make it. That's what makes this competition special. Darren Ward cleared his lines for Millwall. Twice. Just bounced a little bit too high for Ian Hume. It's pretty lively, the playing surface here at Prenton Park, given that we've had a fair amount of rain and snow over the last week or so. But there was a long dry spell before that, and this pitch does dry out very quickly. It's lively out there. And I think we can say that we're going to have action to match. Andy Marshall gets hands on it for the first time. Lawrence headed it. Prodded forward a little tentatively by Roberts. Millwall giving possession away plenty here. Down the side by Roberts. Jones gives chase. Lawrence clears his lines again. Dicchio battles for it with Goodison and gets the ball for Millwall. Early by Harris, misdirected. One of the strengths of this Millwall side, though, and Harris was trying to pick out the man running from deep. And in Ifill and Cahill, they have probably the best two players in the league at the moment in Division 1. This is one of those boys bursting forward from midfield. Jones wide to Hume, who's ranging right across the front line. Almost in a free roll for Tranmere tonight. Too much on the cross, it was aimed at Jones. Easy pickings for Marshall. Poor throw by the keeper. Well, you could see what was in the mind of Ryan Taylor. He thought that Marshall might also be out of his ground a little. Taking charge off his line. Jones waits. Again, they do go long with it. Clever first touch by Muscat. Graham Allen. Very experienced professional. As Dicchio tried to panic him, there was no sign of panic here from Allen. Canadian Hume. Robbie Ryan with a free kick for Millwall. Helped on by Ifill and by Dicchio. Half chance here for Millwall. First goal goes to the visitors. It's slotted beautifully by Tim Cahill. In Millwall's first meaningful attack, and it's the travelling support who celebrate here. They go in front in the 11th minute, and a set-piece goal. Nobody challenged for the first one, not much on the second one either, and a cool finish from Cahill, bursting forward from midfield. Nobody tracked his run, and he was good enough to pick his spot in the corner. Taylor forward for Tranmere. Well policed by Ryan into touch. Under pressure from Hume. That's the Millwall contingent at the far end of the ground. They are the ones making all the noise here. Here's Dicchio. Ifill took a great position up for Millwall. Get the idea that certainly Millwall have settled with the goal. Cahill the scorer. Nice ball forward, nice layoff. Beautiful move. What a special goal by Millwall. It's Neil Harris. They lead 2-0 here. And Tranmere were left like statues watching the build-up. It's a fantastic strike by Harris, but it was a superb one-touch move by Millwall. Knocked forward by Cahill, one layoff by Dicchio, and one perfect volley by Neil Harris, who is technically a very gifted player. Look at that. That's one of the best goals you're going to see in English football this season. If they make it to the final, a guaranteed place in the UEFA Cup next season, given Arsenal and Manchester United's success. They meet in the other semi-final, of course, but both nailed on certainties to be in the Champions League again. In as much as anything in football is a certainty, and that opens the door for a side from the FA Cup. It looks more likely to be Millwall at the moment. Eiffel, Muscat, nicely done. Millwall certainly have settled, and they are a good passing side when they get into their stride. Dicchio got there, Achterberg. You'd have to say John Achterberg keeps Tranmere alive in the FA Cup for now at least. It's a brilliant save. It's all Millwall here. Tranmere are shell-shocked, and quite honestly they don't look capable of containing Millwall in this mood. Cahill again got in, and Eiffel ahead of the front men. That was the save by Achterberg, but Cahill might have picked up that rebound. Slight misjudgment by Ward. Jones giving chase. They don't look entirely comfortable between them, the Millwall keeper and his two centre-halves, when it's straight down the middle at them, but they have somehow dealt with it. They've got the job done so far. Taylor. Connolly. Look for the runners in the area. Bit of movement here by Tranmere. Mellon couldn't win it back first time, but got it second time here. Connolly. Well, it'd be great for Tranmere and for a neutrals watching this cup tie if Tranmere could get on the score sheet before half-time. It's Hume. He's done well. Half chance. Yes! Gary Jones puts Tranmere back in the hunt here. What a great time to score. And it was fine work by Ian Hume. He makes the space so cleverly for himself here. Full of tricks, full of changes of direction, and full of self-confidence. Good work indeed. And Jones really getting an unchallenged header in. Lawrence couldn't do anything against Jones then. Never write Tranmere out in the FA Cup. It feels even better to come here tonight. Beresford, good first touch from him. He was a little bit quiet in the first half, Dave Beresford. Ball bobbled as he tried to cross it in. It's reached Neil Harris, scored the second goal for Millwall. Eiffel took it in his stride, looked for Dicchio on the far post. Here is Danny Dicchio! Might have done better with it. It's a one-fisted save by Achterberg. A flowing Millwall move, end-to-end football. Wonderful entertainment, but truth to tell, Danny Dicchio should have made it a little bit harder here for Achterberg. Eiffel gets his head up here. Dicchio's made space here. The header comes a nice height for the keeper, you must say that. Jones got his head to it. Mellon battled for it. So too did Harrison. Dicchio. Millwall certainly not passing with the authority that they showed in the first 25 minutes of this game tonight. Just feel as though Tranmere are getting in their faces a little bit more, and Hume's made a great run here. Just needed somebody coming into the box. Jones couldn't catch up with the play. Tranmere coming strong here. Taylor had the confidence to try to make something happen, and he's made a corner happen for Tranmere. Ian Hume, a big influence on this again tonight, just as in previous rounds in the FA Cup. Taylor's corner. Half chance for Jones. just wouldn't come down for him. Tranmere come close. Let's see just how close here. Cahill's ball across the face of goal. Jones really, you just felt he had to take it on the full, that there was no time for a second touch. Admittedly, yeah, Brian Little knows he'd have loved that chance as a striker himself. Free kick given away by Harrison. He's one of the kids at Tranmere who has been brought up through what is always has been a very good youth scheme here. Very successful, producing professionals, and the likes of Harrison will have been weaned on the cup exploits of previous Tranmere teams over the last decade or so. Millwall, by contrast, starved of cup glory. Looking tonight to reach the FA Cup semi-finals for the first time, would you believe, since 1937. Marshall got it right. Already tonight, this is Millwall's best run in the FA Cup since 1984-85 season, when they lost to Luton in round 6. Luton were a fine cup side in those days. Mellon. Once more it's Mellon. Look at Neil Harris back defending very deep. Way opens up here for Tranmere. Hume. Half chance here for Harrison. He swung a leg at it. He went down in the box. 2 deflection. Drop for Daddy! You felt the story was written for the big man. It's as close as Tranmere have come. They battled and battled. The bounce of the ball favours Tranmere. There, off Cahill's knee. On such things, cup ties can be won. Jones gives chase this time. Off Ryan, Tranmere throw. Jones thought about taking it quickly, he does so. What a leap by Hume! Smallest man on the field. Easy take in the end for Marshall. But look at the spring in Ian Hume's leap here. Clever header down by Eugene Daddy. Lawrence stands firm once more for Millwall. Tranmere pressing as they've done throughout the second half. Knocked in by Mellon. It's dropped for Gary Jones here. He knew Hume was behind him. Here is Hume. Millwall have all the bodies back. Mellon, what a climax to this cup tie. Roberts, it's still in around the middle penalty area. Good ball in! Oh. And again it's a header by Hume, easily saved by Marshall, and that was a really good chance, you feel. It just comes at a good height for the keeper here. It's a clever ball whipped in by Roberts. Tranmere still believe though, and Millwall will know that there's still more to do. We had 2 minutes of the added time. Connolly's intended cross blocked down. Millwall players all over the field are throwing themselves at the ball to protect the lead they have. Ward sends it into the crowd and they throw it back so quickly, and why wouldn't they? And now they do have a chance to work a proper set piece from a throw-in. Goodison gets in there. They're good at these, Tranmere, and they always have been. Might yet fall for them. Every Millwall player back helping the team. Roberts. Muscat tries to hold him up, and he and Cahill, who work so well as a pairing defensively, they keep it at bay. Hume. Roberts now. It's an up and under. Marshall thought about coming for it and went back. Body went down in the box. Daddy. Neil Harris thought he was going to get the throw. They think that it's beginning to go away from them here. It only takes a second to score a goal, though. Dennis Wise will know he can't relax, nor can his team. There may be time for Tranmere to muster one final surge here. Ryan had a look back, but then sent it the way it came, which was the right thing to do. Sutton gets on it for Millwall. That's all they needed. Harris. Millwall fans want the whistle to blow. We've nearly played the 4 minutes of added time. Tranmere have a throw. Surely this will be their last opportunity now. Wise wants the whistle to go. It's time, he says. He's right, it is time. It's up to the referee's discretion now, Uriah Rennie. That's not the final whistle. There is time for one last attempt here by Tranmere. Are we in for one of those classic FA Cup finishes? Or have Millwall done? Millwall cannot believe that the referee has allowed more than 30 seconds of added time at the end of the period, but it's enough. Millwall are into the FA Cup semi-final. Dennis Wise has had a magic touch since taking charge at Millwall, and it continues here as they battle their way to victory at Prenton Park, where so many big clubs have come unstuck over the years in the FA Cup. Great credit goes to Wise and his players for their spirit and determination, and great credit too for Tranmere Rovers, who yet again have given us a night of fantastic FA Cup entertainment. On this occasion, I'm afraid it wasn't quite enough to make another fairy tale come true. The fairy tales all belong to Millwall players. Neil Harris out of the game with cancer 3 years ago. Now he's back in a big way and in an FA Cup semi-final, having scored a superb goal tonight. And Dennis Wise, who was such a big player in the FA Cup for Chelsea in the 90s, could be about to make a mark as a manager in the FA Cup with Millwall. They have so much to play for this season, but they are entitled to enjoy this night because they had to show class in the first half and spirit, togetherness and battling bravery in the second half to get it done here. The result, Tranmere Rovers 1, Millwall 2.
It's fantastic, to be honest. I think the lads haven't really realised what they've actually done, you know, and I've been fortunate enough to play in FA Cup finals, and none of them have, and it's massive, and I think it hit them in the morning. Ain't quite hit some of them at the moment, and it's a great feat what they've done, and it's fantastic. They work extremely hard for each other, and also we've got quite a lot of talent in there as well, which helps. And they just got to keep it going. I think it's fantastic for the club, fantastic for Theo, because it's something that he's wanted for a long, long time, and for the players, and obviously it's great for me and Ray as well.
Being in the semi-final of the FA Cup, beyond my wildest dreams when I joined here nearly 7 years ago. You know, we're still in there with a great shout for the playoffs as well. And, you know, for a club our size with our attendances and everything else, it's just an absolutely tremendous achievement by the players.
For the semi, Millwall were drawn against yet another team from outside the Premiership, Sunderland.
Obviously we've beaten twice already, home and away. The only thing that was going to beat us was the occasion. It's no disrespect to Sunderland, but it's only Sunderland. It's not Man U, it's not Arsenal. It's a First Division clash, and one goal was going to win it.
Again, First Division. So on a neutral ground, we've beaten them twice before in the league, and we fancied ourselves to beat them again.
With the rail network under repair, more than 20,000 Millwall fans made the trek up the motorways to Old Trafford. This was an occasion not to be missed. Millwall would never have a better chance of reaching the final. If they made it, the Lions would become the first club since Bolton Wanderers in 1953 to reach the final without meeting top-flight opposition.
Let's take a check on the teams. Starting with Sunderland, such a transformation in their fortunes over recent months, and McCarthy hoping he's got his plans right over this 11 today. Stephen Wright has come through a fitness test, so he returns at fullback, and with Irish international Jeff Whitney suspended, there's a midfield slot for Paul Thirlwell. At the sharp end, McCarthy Without Darren Byfield, he's cut-tied. There's club for a combination of Kevin Kyle and Tommy Smith at the expense of Marcus Stewart. This is the Millwall side, and given a clean bill of health as he's enjoying at the moment, there was no way that Dennis Wise was going to miss this one. He's named himself in central midfield as expected, and he's resolved the dilemma of which pairing to favour in attack by choosing Danny DeKeo, a former Sunderland striker, alongside Neil Harris. David Livermore claims a midfield role, having recovered from injury. And in the current post, the two managers are relishing the task they've undertaken. The task for Paul Durkin today is to keep things in order on this prestigious day. Sunderland, who were on their uppers after relegation from the Premiership at the end of last season, really have been fighting back with a vengeance this season. And so have Millwall too, after limping along rather lamely before Dennis Wise took charge back in October. First free kick of the game. Going Sunderland's way, it's Livermore. Arca could well be the man here. Here is the Argentine. He's become a folk hero for the Sunderland fans with his artistry from the flank. This is Kevin Muscat. A man you may remember who had a penalty save against Tranmere in the last round. Finished goalless at the New Den, but Millwall went on to win the replay. No one was more relieved than Muscat, but that was the final outcome. Promising raid here by Millwall. They had two in the box waiting for some service there from Harris, who's won the vote up front then ahead of Nick Chadwick to partner DeKeo. Here is Dennis Wise. He will certainly be the centre of attention for Millwall. Muscat claiming a handball, not given. This is Byfield. Really dangerous player. It was Wise who comes scampering back in typically vibrant fashion. And now Byfield has been penalised. A frantic opening, but then who would have thought otherwise? By Harris. Getting well carried away. Up front for Millwall. The man who's had to fight back from serious illness. What a reward it would be for him to make the final. After all that he's had to suffer. Arca. Up comes McAteer. Upended though. Cahill says a dive. Not so according to referee Durkin. So here's a real chance sent for Sunderland again. And Arca in attendance as Andy Marshall organises those defensive troops in front of him. Man on loan from Ipswich. Might be Oster this time with the right foot. It is a decent effort, two off the crossbar and then headed away to safety. So close then, John Oster. He really has been playing exceptionally well lately for Sunderland. Not always appreciated by the fans, but he certainly is by his manager and his teammates. Here's Oster now with the corner. That was Kyle with virtually a free header. Poor defending then by Millwall, but they managed to escape. Leading Millwall in their best run in the FA Cup then since 1937. Playing in form at the moment as their chairman, Theo Tafitis, has worked so hard to improve the club's image. They've lost only twice since the end of November from 22 competitive games. Here's Breen for Sunderland. Unbeaten in their last 9. Arca. And then by McCartney. He's had his disciplinary problems down the years as Muscat. So has Dennis Wise come to that. Both unquestionably are very talented players. Wise so keen, so enthusiastic still at 37. Here's Oster. Lining it up then for Arca. Oster again with a shot! Well, that's twice now he has come very close to scoring. Such a bright opening by Sunderland. Marginally the favourites going into this game, but a close call even with the bookies. Clever little chip then by Arca. Just nudged down by Smith into the path of Oster. And it wasn't that far away. That was Harris, then Ifill. Looking to extend McCartney. He's had a really good season for Sunderland, really establishing himself in that left-back role. And there is the Manchester United manager, and alongside him his assistant Walter Smith, casting an eye over their opponents in this year's final. Who will it be? Such a great day for Manchester United yesterday, and they eventually saw off Arsenal's challenge and of course ended their dream of the treble. United in their first FA Cup final since their treble year of 1999. One thing's for sure, whichever team gets through today, they will be the underdogs. Here's Muscat. Now Ifill. Looked on then, it was a chance for Harris! Offside. Just for a moment then, Millwall thought they might have broken through. As it's flicked on there, Harris is just offside. Not a great deal in it, looking at that. France helping it on. Sunderland in their first semi-final of the FA Cup in 12 years, since they went on to lose to Liverpool in the final. Arca. Closed down though by Ifill. Then Muscat joining in, Ifill again. Two totally committed teams, as you would anticipate, with so much at stake here. The place in the UEFA Cup is guaranteed, of course, as Manchester United are certain to be in the Champions League, whatever the outcome in the final at Cardiff. Millwall in Europe, now there's a prospect. It could yet happen, but not if Sunderland can do anything about it. McAteer on the losing side then with Liverpool back in '96. The year of those famous white suits, remember that? Now Oster. Again, Dicchio back on defensive guard. That was Green up there. McAteer, as ever, working so hard. Really relishing the prospect, McAteer, going to another FA Cup final. Thirlwell, on to Oster, skipping free still, John Oster. And it is McAteer. I think his last FA Cup goal was actually in that '96 run against Aston Villa in the semi. But he's become a really important player for Sunderland. I think he's found his appetite again. Says he'd rather fallen out of love with football during his time at Blackburn. New lease of life under Mick McCarthy. Renewing, of course, their acquaintance with the Republic of Ireland team. Now it's Ifill, though, for Millwall. Good block by Poom. Cahill! So often a talisman for Millwall, and he's done it again. What a week for him, his international debut for Australia. And now a goal for Millwall in the FA Cup semi-final. Sunderland got caught out at the back. Long clearance. It was McCartney, I think, got caught in possession here. It was a very short back pass then to Phil Babb. Eiffel almost took advantage with that initial save, but then on the follow-up, it's Tim Cahill with his 12th goal of the season. And he was very cool then in front of goal. Not even brushed off the arm of McCartney. Now Ward under threat from Kyle. He kept his nerve well. Foster. Still reflecting up through on those two early opportunities that came his way. Now Phil Babb, who's a former Millwall player. His old team are on the chart again now, and that's a trip surely. Well, it's all kicking off now. It was McAteer who brought him down. It was a pretty awful challenge in truth. And it sparked off that little fracas. Cahill trying to calm McAteer down. He could be in real trouble. It was Muscat on the surge. And a buffeting then from McAteer. Who then followed through as well. Totally unnecessary from McAteer. In-step referee Durkin trying to act as a peacemaker. Well, I think Muscat threw out an arm and McAteer responded in rather aggressive fashion too. Looks like yellow for McAteer. Only yellow. But he was living dangerously. Dennis Wise taking on the responsibility. And very nearly scoring too. I don't think that was all that far away from the post. The man who has so relished the FA Cup down the years, 3 times a winner. Free kick in Sunderland's favour this time. Maybe Livermore was the guilty party. Kyle's not in the middle at the moment. Here's the target. It was McAteer to lay it off. Now can Wright get his cross away here. It's not a bad one either. And there's a shot just wide from Kyle. Oh, it was a really presentable opening for him, and he knows it too. Stephen Wright bending in that cross. Millwall haven't really coped with it, but it flashes just the wrong side of the post. Kyle, who scored against Birmingham in an earlier round. Back up Sunderland again. John Oster. The keeper was tempted for a moment, but then was back in time to make that sprawling save. Andy Marshall. Sizzling start to the second half though from Sunderland. McCartney, whose hesitancy led to that first goal scored by Cahill for Millwall. Archer in for Kyle. Again, the marking was very sloppy then by Millwall. They might yet pay for it. Only a corner, it could have been more serious for them. Darren Ward to the rescue in the end. It seemed very ponderous for a moment, Millwall. Almost as if their minds are still in the dressing room. That's McAteer. Out by Dicchio. McAteer again. Millwall very much on the back foot at this stage, defending this slender lead. There's always likely to be a period in the second half when someone really would throw everything at them. It's come early. Arsenal, who decided not to go for that cross, that proved to be the right decision. You can see him tempted there, and then he's back to push it away. A header from Kyle. John Oster. McCartney and then Bell. Millwall content to back off, but then keep their shape defensively. Here's to Keogh. To Bell then too. Now Sweeney. The first time substitute for Paul Ifield. Oster again. Looking for Kyle. It's fallen here for Arca. Goodness me, that was a really good opportunity. And they've had 2 or 3 now, already in this second half. But again, Millwall standing firm. And this is Sweeney now. Very confident since coming on. Placed by Breen. Up steps Livermore. And Sweeney unlucky. John Oster. On to Arca. Got McCartney to his left. McAteer was through the middle. There's McCartney now. Sniffing it too far, but it's Oster. With a chance to curl it back in again. Millwall survive. Sweeney. Surely brought down them from behind. Well, they began the second half with such a flourish. The team from the northeast. Millwall weathered the storm. Once or twice they were hanging on. He's been their commander-in-chief at the back, in harness with Lawrence. More credit to Dennis Wise for putting those two together. One of his first moves on taking over the manager's role. Sweeney's cross. Not quite onto the head of Tim Cahill. I don't think Dennis Wise was that keen on taking on the role when it was first offered to him back in October. Just did it on a temporary basis to start with, after Mark McGee had left the club. He really has warmed to the role since then. But now it's John Oster bearing down on goal for Sunderland. Good interception by Lawrence. He sent Cahill on his way. Harris has gone to the near post. Behind him is De Keogh. Pook with the save. And then Harris on the follow-up. And they might then have just put this semi-final out of Sunderland's reach, but for Mark Pook. Well, this was an incredible save by Pook. Here's Cahill racing clear. He's got Harris on that near post. De Keogh looking to profit from that decoy run by Harris, but denied by the expertise of Pook. Arca. Here's Stewart. Now Piper. Stephen Wright. Sunderland camped here in Millwall territory. And a very important header away there by Cahill. A hero in an attacking sense and now in a defensive one as well. Sunderland really going for it now. John Oster to try again. Roberts who smuggled that one away. Fire through and saved by Poom. Arca's drive. Saved by Marshall, I should say. Got me confused for a moment. There was an offside flag in any case. Decent hit, look. Matt Marshall really spread himself to turn that away. Just took a little deflection there that might have unnerved the keeper, but that was not the case. McAteer. Now it's John Oster. Corner if it goes. The heat is on Millwall now. After that ricochet off Sweeney. Green's on his way up. Swung over by John Oster. That was DeKeo. Arca. Oster is still out wide. Just nudged back by Breen. To Piper. Then Arca. Now Piper again. They haven't really shut him down. Rice with a header away. And then it's Harris. Back into the mix by Arca. Chance here, surely. And it's wide. From McCartney. A golden opportunity to redeem himself after the part he played in Millwall's goal. Millwall got it horribly wrong at the back, and they have been let off the hook. What a chance for him. The captain may never have a better one than that in this game. Sure he won't. Cahill. Millwall riding their luck. Five minutes to go, just over, plus stoppage time. Marshall with a terrific save from Arca to preserve his team's advantage. No let up in the encouragement for both these two teams, the two First Division sides. Still battling it out for a place in the final against Manchester United. Marcus Stewart. Now it's Wright with time to cross this one in. Away by Elliott. Sweeney losing out. And it's Harris now on the counter raid. Yes, I think he was tripped. It's going to be a caution for McAteer. And it is indeed a second one, so he's off. The day ends in misery for McAteer. Well, he just pulled back Harris then. I think he knew at that moment he would have to go. And McCarthy's team, as if they didn't have enough problems already, are now down to 10. Now Sweeney. DeKeo waiting in the box. Offside. That was foolish from Sweeney. He's kicking the ball away as Sunderland tried to take that kick. Up comes Breen. Well, it's gripping stuff now. Arca. Here's the Argentine again. Faced by Wise. He's laid it off to Piper. And another terrific save by Marshall. He cannot have had too good a view of that. He got down superbly. The man on loan, remember, from Ipswich. Just tipped it round the post. Up goes Poom, a scorer, remember, earlier this season against Derby County. Right off. Sean Porton who's on. All eyes are on this penalty box though. Up goes Poom. Couldn't get a strike on goal. Well, there's nobody right up there for Millwall as Poom comes scurrying back. Arca. The 90 minutes are up. Go by Ward and Dekio. Well, they can hardly bear to watch. The Millwall chairman says he's going to strip naked and run round Trafalgar Square if Millwall get into Europe. He made that promise after an earlier round, and the players intend keeping him to it if they do make it, if they do go on to Cardiff. They're not quite there yet. That's Oster. Good chance for Piper! And yet again, it's Marshall to the rescue. So brave, so defiant. I think there's an offside decision anyway. Yep, up goes the flag. Marshall couldn't be sure. Heart-wrenching stuff. Dekio. Wise is with it. He knew just what he was doing then. Waiting for the challenge. Down he went. And you can't blame him now. That injury he sustained earlier, it must be a struggle for him even to keep going. Wild horses wouldn't drag him off. Paul Durkin looking at the watch there. I think it's some 20 seconds or so to go. And they are preparing for one big party. It's going to be some trip back to South London, I can tell you. Unless Sunderland can find something here right at the last. The agony of it all, if you are following the team in red and white. The ecstasy awaits those who support the team in blue. And they've done it! They have done it! The most unlikely of fairy stories, Millwall are through to the FA Cup final. What odds, I wonder, would you have had on that at the start of the season? Tim Cahill's goal that settled this semi-final. It was always gripping, always absorbing, always close. Sunderland gave it their best shot, but they have been denied in the end. Andy Marshall, heroics from him in that Millwall goal. And now, well, he can let it all out, Ray Wilkins. He can go and celebrate with Dennis Wise and with the Millwall players. This, make no mistake, is a fantastic achievement. True, they haven't had to beat any Premiership teams to get to this stage, but all the same, they've been tough matches en route. And now the biggest one of all awaits them in the final against Manchester United, Ray Wilkins' old club, the team with which he won the FA Cup as a player back in '83. Written off early on in the season, Millwall may have come back with a vengeance under Dennis Wise and Ray Wilkins. Millwall are heading for Cardiff, winners in this FA Cup semi-final over Sunderland by 1-0.
They've done great. I can't ask for no more. The lads have been together. The punters were fantastic. Probably a small disappointment was it wasn't filled up. You know, that's probably something that needed to be sorted out. It wasn't, but not to worry. The people that were here, they were fantastic, and I'm proud of every one of them. I'm proud of every one of them lads as well. They were fantastic today, and it's great for Theo. I think it's fantastic for Theo. You know, he's been waiting for something like this for a long, long time. He's put his money where his mouth is. He's kept the club going, and full credit to him. You know, and he's pinching himself. He can't understand it at the moment. And it's great, and I think a lot of these lads are pinching themselves at the moment. But we're there, we're in Europe, we're in a cup final. Now we've got to concentrate on Wednesday.
It was strange actually, because none of the players have actually been in that. So I think there was only Dennis and myself that had been in a winning dressing room in a semi-final before, so they didn't really know how to react to it. It was a difficult situation for them. They didn't really know how to take it or what to do, where to put the champagne. Fortunately, we managed to get a couple of cold bottles in the fridge that we could actually drink. The warm ones got sprayed about it, but it was good fun.
No words can explain it. I think when Eiffel's cut in, he took the strike and it's bounced up to me. It was quite high, and all I can think of was just keeping the ball down, keeping a good technique and hitting the target. As soon as it hit left my foot, it took a slight deflection. I think it could be McCartney, and it's just gone, obviously, in the centre of the goal, and that was it. You just don't think. There's so many emotions running through my mind. It was unbelievable. I think I'll never have a feeling again, obviously, like it, because it's so unique. But the meaning of that was just all the rewards of what I've done over the last 7 years, and with my teammates, and obviously being the winner was an added bonus. But I think the celebration said it all, because I couldn't express myself anymore.
It was electric, to be fair. It was one of those. The only way I can describe it to people is if you're standing 5 foot away from your teammate, you couldn't shout at them. The noise, the atmosphere. Yeah, it was a real buzz.
So, unbelievably, Cardiff awaits, and Millwall have drawn the lucky changing room. The first 12 major cup and playoff matches were won by teams occupying the north dressing room. And Millwall could not have asked for more glamorous or awe-inspiring opponents in the final. Having missed out on the Champions League and Premiership, the FA Cup represents Manchester United's last chance of silverware this season. United are hot favourites, but this is the Cup. Anything could happen, couldn't it?
We're going to give it a go. It's going to be a smashing day for everybody. It's a day for Millwall Football Club. Once we get on that pitch, we'll be trying to win the game.
They've got so many good players at their disposal that it's going to be hard for us, whatever. But we're there. We're going to have a go and see what happens.
We're not frightened. We're respected, but we won't over-respect.
They're only made of the same skin and blood that our players are made of. So yes, they're great names and they are great players. But great players can also have an off day. And it only takes 4 or 5 of them to have an off day, and all our lads to kick in form, and we've got half a chance.
This has been arguably the greatest season in Millwall's history, with one potentially glorious chapter still to be written. We'll leave you with another look at the goal which put Millwall on the road to Cardiff.
Now it's Highfield over Millwall. Good block by Poom. Cahill! So often a talisman for Millwall, and he's done it again. What a week for him, his international debut for Australia, and now a goal for Millwall in the FA Cup semi-final.